Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gen AI Talkin' 10, brought to you by SS&C Blue Prism. I'm Brad. He's Satish. So let's dive right in. Our topic for this episode is how will the interactions between humans and LLMs evolve? What are your thoughts, Satish?
Yeah, thanks, Brad. When I think about the interactions between humans and models in general, right, I also think about not just LLMs, but how those LLMs are themselves evolving, right, to be SLMs and these domain-specific and custom models, right? So when I address this question, I'm thinking broader than just LLM, right? Because LLMs, as our audience knows, these large language models, but you've seen a revolution towards small language models, domain-specific models, open source models. So when we say LLMs, think broader is all I'm thinking of, right? There's a few things that we should expect to happen in terms of evolution. First is increased integration, right? Where think of it, when I go to type my search thing on Google, I now see on the right side the LLM outputs from Gemini giving me responses, right? So you can expect that in voice assistants, you can expect that in pretty much any still device you use, that LLMs will, and SLMs and all the other LMs, if you will start seeping in, right? The response you get will have some involvement from a language model, some kind of a language model. Why language model versus the traditional model? Because there's that element of communicating with that model, like in an actual language. And second is how the LLMs themselves, or any of the LLMs, will understand humans better, right? In terms of the context, in terms of any nuances in language, in terms of how we express emotions and expect responses. This means that we will even more so in the future, we'll be able to talk to LLMs in a much more natural way, right? So you see these ads on TV where people are talking to Google, and you hear of situations where they've actually built relationships. They feel like the large language model is almost their buddy or friend or even girlfriend or boyfriend. It's crazy, but true. And that will likely happen more and more. The third, I would say, is hyper personalization. Behind iPhones introduce Apple Intelligence. That's just the beginning, right? Where LLMs and especially SLMs, because you need a smaller version of the language model on your device, whether it's a phone or an Apple Watch or something similar. These SLMs will become more sophisticated, more smaller footprint, more customized, and they'll be deployed on your devices, and they'll become hyper personalized. So they will know who you are and what your likes and dislikes are, and will engage that way. So some kind of an assistant, some kind of a buddy. And then the last thing I'd say is what we expect to happen is even more prevalence of LLMs across many, many more industries, many, many more, verticals, right, that we deal with. Because it'll become easier to use these LLMs and SLMs in the enterprise context. So it'll become safer. It'll become more reliable. There's a lot that's going to change, but it will come over time. So
yeah, there definitely seems to be a trend toward adding more emotional intelligence to these models, and even some of the applications sitting on top of the large language models are trying to make them more human-like. There's a AI company called Hume, Hume.ai, and they describe their solution as voice intelligence powered by empathic AI. And empathic AI is interesting. I mean, it's this idea that you can have a version of AI that is going to sound and feel more like a human and will have emotional responses. So you're more inclined to continue conversing with it and get more value from it.
Yeah.
Just this week,
Yeah.
Satish, you're probably aware, Google released a new AI model that they say can detect emotions.
Yes.
And it can look at a video or look at a picture or even a real-time conversation, and it can ascertain if that person, is happy or sad or agitated or what have you. And the response to that has been, a lot of people are pretty impressed by it, but there's an equal number of people that are bothered by it because as humans, we have enough difficulty reading people's faces and understanding emotions. And so how can we trust an AI model to do that, as well or better than we can? So,
and the scary part also of that, brand, is, to me, when I read that, I was like, wow, this is great in a way. But the scary part is what actions it takes as a result. Will it recommend medicine because you think you're depressed?
Yeah.
Or it'll contact your doctor and say, hey, this person is depressed.
Right.
Give him medication.
Right.
I was not depressed. I was maybe for a minute I was sad about something, but I'm not depressed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing that to me seems to be central to where LLMs are evolving with humans is just, ChatGPT released a search function this last week. I've spent a little time testing it out. And, first of all, it does bring back some interesting, I think a little bit more precise search results that are less driven by ads, or at least it seems like that on the surface. But then the idea that you can continue the conversation. So if I'm looking for the best pizza places, it may give me 4 pizza places that pop up with a map and make it real visually appealing. But then you can continue the conversation and say, well, which ones do you think I would like? I really like deep dish, or I feel, I don't like this type of pizza, but I like this, and it can continue to, give you food for thought, no pun intended, on each of those locations. So, I mean, this idea of you're having a conversation with information. It's not just a search that you get a result and then you make a decision. You can continue to converse with it and have interaction. I think that continues to be one of the most powerful things about Gen AI is that you're able to get an answer, get a response, and then ask more questions and go deeper and deeper, and it can continue to go along with you on that journey. So any other thoughts just about how humans and LLMs and the interactions between them you think will evolve here as we wrap up on this episode?
I think, in terms of industries, right? We talked about impact to industries. I was thinking along the lines of one is media and entertainment. Can you imagine what it will do to, with any form of creative outlets like writing and art and design? And, I think we'll see a dramatic change to that industry. The other one we talked about a little bit is healthcare. I think the fact that, it can do those things you just talked about. It can figure out emotions, etc. Can do more with, drugs and so on. I think that's exciting, right? Where you can change patient experience. You can dramatically impact, quality of life for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's one thing people are looking for when they're talking to AI about a medication or about a symptom they're experiencing or whatever, they want some empathy. They want something that at least sounds like it understands their situation and, has has empathy for them.
Yeah, and one last thing I'll say on that, right? So if you think about, you have a symptom, you go search on the web for what could this mean? Right? What that search tool is lacking is your context, who you are, even your race, because some of that is impacted by your genetic footprint, right?
Yeah.
And so by including LLMs, they know, right? If the LLM knows about you, it might make them uncomfortable that it does.
Yeah.
We can help you in ways that, some of these tools today cannot help.
Right. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Gen AI Talk in 10.